What's going on, YouTube? Claic Yuzolt back again with another Final Fantasy Brave Exvius video, and in today's video we're reviewing CG Warrior of Light, Big Daddy CG tank, physical tank. Everybody's been waiting on. I want to compare him to Galuf though, so this is going to be like your normal banner review I do. I'm going to take why Warrior of Light is so great, why Galuf is so great, and why they would be different. They'd be great in different scenarios, and so you can decide, hey, if I already have Galuf, do I need Warrior of Light? If I don't have either, you know, is it worth me just going ahead and spending on Warrior of Light if I have Seaguard, etc.? And try to give you guys as much information as I can in a little bit of different of a format. So let's get into it. All right, guys, so we're going to go over a quick overview of CG Warrior of Light, and then we're going to kind of compare him to Galuf and let you guys understand why they're both really top tier. So first off, going to be a physical damage tank, covered tank, and provoke tank. And we have the TMR and Sword of Light, attack 72, defense 46, defense 20%. So that is just going to be incredible for any support unit, even on damage dealers. I know that 72 attack is kind of lower, maybe on a true dual wield attack unit, but if you need your unit to live, that 46 defense and then defense 20% will help you in a lot of cases. And obviously, it's going to be great on tanks that are needing to have a little bit more physical damage, against mitigation against physical damage. Then we have Guiding Light, increase HP 20%, recover 5%, and that is only going to be for Warrior of Light, the 4-star version, or this Awakened Warrior of Light, the CG version. So that's going to go for them. Incredible TMR when it comes to those two, and also very good in other cases, not just good on tanks, good on support or attack units. Next up, we have Shield of Light. Now, this isn't going to be an STMR that I think you should go spend your tickets and shove an STMR Moogle into Warrior of Light for, but it's still really great. Defense 108, Spirit 52, lots of elemental resist, which you guys know I love, and then we have Sentinel. Sentinel's going to auto cast at the start of battle, 10% general damage mitigation to the person wearing it. So it's a very, very strong shield. I mean, I would love to have it in my arsenal, but I'm not going to go out there spending an STMR Moogle ticket on it. You guys can take it for what it's worth. It's obviously just a really nice big stat stick with a nice little twist on it with that 10% general damage mitigation. Next up, the thing you're going to see is Warrior of Light is 100% resist to any light damage. I mean, this guy is light incarnate, dude. He is here and he is shiny, and light's not going to do anything to him, so he has 100% resist to that. Moving on down, the first thing you want to know about tanks are, how is their provoke? Well, Warrior of Light, like Galuf, or CG Warrior of Light, like Galuf, is going to have 80% innate draw attack just in his passive. So you're only going to have to get 20% more to make him innately draw it in. If you end up not wanting to do that, but you want to cast a provoke ability, he does have that 100% target, chance of being targeted for 3 turns, and puts up his LB gauge fill rate. And we'll talk about his LB in a minute. Next up about CG Warrior of Light. So with a tank, what are their covers like? Well, first off, you have this nice little cover here. It's not just doing its cover, it's covering physical damage. You can cast that, you know, it's a 6-star ability, but it also gives you a little bit of an HP barrier. Now, 500 really isn't that much, but it's something else on top. If you end up not being able to get an HP barrier or a higher one, this is a nice little sprinkling to have on top. But his big cover ability is a 6-turn cooldown available on turn 1. You want to be casting this on turn 1 every time. If you want to be covering physical damage, is this ability right here. Increase defense and spirit 200% to himself for 4 turns. Cover everybody for 4 turns. Mitigate damage taken 50% for everybody for 4 turns. So it's similar to like what CG Saber or CG Charlotte's LB is, but it's going to be on a cooldown ability. And then grant HP barrier 500. So again, the HP barrier is not that high. But think about all of that. Normally on turn 1 with our tanks back in the day, we'd be just like, cover, and then everybody else would have to do everything. But here, he does all of this stuff in one move. And there is going to be 2 turns where, you know, the stuff is going to be faded off. It obviously has a 2-turn cooldown where you have to wait for it to come back up, but we have that covered with the other cover ability. We have other ways to grant HP barriers, which we'll go over, which is something Warrior of Light is great at. But the thing that Warrior of Light is lacking is the ability to keep up general damage mitigation all the time. So you are going to have to find somebody else out there to cover him on those 2 turns when he's not going to have this up. Or if you are wanting to not physical cover, you have to have somebody else out there to put general damage mitigation up, because his only way to do it is through this cover. For example, if you want to be magic damage covering and you're only using Warrior of Light for the physical single target, you're going to run into problems trying to get that general damage mitigation up, because you can't have both covers up at the same time. So that's one of the major downfalls of Warrior of Light, but he has a lot of other up things about him. He has a great heal. Look at this. Heal a lot to all allies. On top of that, mitigate physical damage taken. So he's one of the few units in the game that that can do the physical damage mitigation, whenever he wants, on demand. So it's going to be 30%, which is actually pretty high. That's going to make him a little bit different than the other tanks. He doesn't keep up that general mitigation up, and he can't cast that general mitigation without covering. However, he can cover your butt when it comes to physical damage mitigation, which is going to pair great with units like CG Charlotte or CG Cecil in the future. That all works really well together if you're using a double tank comp. Now, sometimes you don't use double tank comps, so that's when you're going to have to mix and match with Warrior of Light. Warrior of Light also has a ton of different HP barriers. He has the ability to decrease light resist, so he's going to lighten peril on this move right here. It's available in turn 4. It's a 4-turn cooldown. He's going to do a little bit of damage, and that's the thing. Warrior of Light can dish out some damage because it is based off his defense, and he has high modifiers on those. So decrease light resist 100% for 3 turns to all enemies and do some light physical damage. He is going to be doing the light stuff because he has the embodiment of light, Warrior of Light. Obstructing defense, available turn 1. Mitigate damage taken 70% for 1 turn to 1 ally. Can't do it to himself. Recover MP to himself and give his LB gauge up 16 to himself. So this is a great ability, and it's almost, I wouldn't say it's always up, but it's pretty up quite often where you just target somebody, you're like, you're not taking any damage. You're not taking any damage. 70%, you're not taking any damage. So again, he works really well with a magic cover tank, right? Because he's going to be able to go in and just be like, by the way, you're about to take a lot of damage that we can't, you can't, it's non-elemental damage. Whoop, 70% damage mitigation on you, 20% more than the 50% we're used to, which is really strong. Then we have Invincible Shield, available turn 1, and it has a 10-turn cooldown. So this is really long, and these only last 3 turns, but they're incredible. Increase defense and spirit 150% for 3 turns to all allies. Grant HP barrier 4,000. Now that's the HP barrier we want for 3 turns to all allies, and increase lightning, wind, light, and dark resist by 100% for 3 turns to all allies. So he does cover lightning, wind, light, and dark resist. He has another ability up here that's granting a 1,000 HP barrier. Again, he does HP barriers really well. He's covering the lightning, wind, light, and dark resist by 70% for 3 turns to all allies. He does that stuff really well. He has a little bit of a break here, attack and magic, not too crazy, but hey, if you need it on a tank, if you're struggling, he does have that right here. So looking over Warrior of Light as a whole, he really is good at supporting, right? Because he has all these heals. He has all these HP barriers. He has general damage mitigation, which is a little bit tougher to work with, but then he also has the physical damage mitigation, along with a lot of different elements, resistances he can put up on you, and then he has the light and peril. It's actually quite incredible. Looking over his different passives, again, he has 80% chance of being targeted innately, which is great. He has a bunch of different abilities he casts at the beginning of battle, so we'll look at that in a minute. He has a lot of LB fill rate, which is kind of crazy, because his LB is really good, but it's not too insane. You start looking, as you're looking through these LB things, looking at tanks, you start eating that popcorn, you're excited. It's great, but it's not as fantastic as I was hoping it would be. We do have resist to sleep and petrify, resist to charm, which is great. You do want to have his TMR or STMR on because the defense HP 40%, get some more elemental resist, and we cast Light's Blessing at the start of battle. He does have guts, which is incredible. You want every unit in the game to have guts. That move has saved me so many times, you wouldn't believe it. And then he has more LB up and more defense spirit. Because again, somebody like Awakened Warrior of Light, the 7-star physical tank, is going to be a powerhouse when it comes to stats and being able to take damage. Moving on through these abilities he casts at the start of the battle right here. We have Radiant Hero. So at the start of the battle, he's just going to blind everybody 90% chance. Now, I know a lot of the enemies out there the bosses can't be blinded, but some of them can. And then in Arena, this is going to be quite, if they're not resistant blind, you're just going to start blinding people. They're going to start missing, which I think is funny. He's just like, look, it's my glorious chest, and everyone's like, it's so beautiful. Like, that's pretty cool. Quelling Chaos, he increases his defense by 100% for 1,000,000 turns. So you're probably going to get up higher than 100%, but that's something you can do there. Increase LB gauge 100 to caster at the start of battle, so he's just going to have his LB ready to go every time he starts the battle, which is great. We'll look at his LB in a minute. He has Light's Blessing, which is going to enable double Crusade Arts, which is going to be this ability right here. Let me see if I have it turned on, which is going to let him use his attack abilities twice in a turn. And he has this sequence he can do where he does Vanguard Glaive, which makes him 100% targetable, increase LB gauge fill rate, and then you move down, and that makes Guard Strike in the Sequence Strike, which is a little bit more damage, and Flick Stop decreases defense 60%, so he does have a defense break there, but it is through the different moves you have to cast. Recover MP to caster, and then he goes down into Protective Blade, and it's going to do more damage, decrease light resist, so this is another Imperil he can do for 100%, and then he has a cover attached to that you can cast. So that's kind of a little bit of weird things you can do with Warrior of Light on the side. He has so many other support support abilities. It's kind of crazy. And speaking of those support abilities, as we move down, he does have Cure Raja and full life. So this guy is going to be able to be a side healer easily for you. HP barrier, putter upper, incredible. Now let's look at this LB. I'm not saying it's bad. Increased defense 250% for 3 turns to all allies. That's really high. That's extremely high for you guys that don't have to be taking a lot of damage there. Physical damage 23.5 times with defense scaling. You're going to have a ton of defense on Warrior of Light. So that is going to do a pretty big chunk of damage. And then grant HP barrier 3,000 for 3 turns of all allies, which is a great HP barrier. And he can get this LB all the time. What I wish he had was in Trust. He sadly doesn't. But this LB is quite spammable with all of his LB ups and his LB per turn and all that kind of stuff. His LB fill rate. But it's not, you know, it doesn't have that general damage mitigation. It doesn't have physical damage mitigation, which is fine. I mean, not everybody has to have that. But, you know, that's kind of what I was looking for, because that's one of his biggest downfalls, in my opinion, is the general damage mitigation is kind of off to the side. Other than that, he really has almost no problems. I mean, if he had in Trust, I mean, that'd be over the top. So if, guys, talking about CG Warrior of Light, if you do not have a 7-star physical damage tank, it's time to go for Awakened Warrior of Light. His step up is super easy. It's a 25k guaranteed get one, then you just prison one. Hopefully you get lucky. You don't have to do that. You get him on tickets or something. He covers a lot of different support things. In the future, he's going to be taking everything. He's going to be very synergistic with CG Charlotte, CG Cecil in the future. Lucas he's going to work with. All of those double tank strategies are going to be great with Warrior of Light. Now let's compare him to somebody like Galuf. So what does Galuf have different or is missing than Warrior of Light? Well, Galuf has Entrust, and I know what you guys are thinking. Entrust, Claic, shut the hell up, dude. No, listen. Entrust has saved me in so many trials. There are so many LB spammers out there. You know, Squall just got announced for JP. He's an LB spammer. I know people are using King Rain. There are times when LBs just save the day. This move right here has saved me in so many trials. If you watch my Twitch streams, you know Galuf is my man. He also has the 80% chance to draw attacks, but the difference here is he doesn't have the physical damage mitigation that Warrior of Light has, so you're going to have to get that from somewhere else. But he does have the ability to spam the general mitigation, and the cool thing about him and Warrior of Light are they are not, their LBs or their ability to spam some of these mitigations are not tied to a cover. So for example, Warrior of Light, his 50% general damage mitigation is tied to a cover, but his physical damage is not, so that's what is really going to be good for him. With Galuf, he does have a general mitigation cooldown with a cover, so if you look here, mitigate damage 40% to all allies, increase attack defense to himself, and then he does cover. However, using his LB, we do get that general damage mitigation for 50% for 4 turns, so, and it's only a 22 crystal fill rate, so, or needed to be filled up. So this is what is really good about Galuf. The Entrust, he does cover 2 elements. He covers light with an imbue and an imperil, and he covers fire with an imbue and imperil. See fire and light down here as well. And he kind of has a break here. He has fire and light resist. He's not as supportive as Warrior of Light. As we can see, Warrior of Light's got those HP barriers. He's got those the physical damage mitigation, but he does have he will never have a problem with keeping up general mitigation. If he's solo, he's going to be good to go with the general mitigation. He doesn't need anybody else, but he will need the physical. But the Entrust, man, I cannot state how great this is. So comparing the two, they're both incredible. They're both going to be great for you. If you already have Sieghard, you already have Galuf, you don't really need to go for Awakened Warrior of Light. Now, do I think Awakened Warrior of Light is the best tank in Global? I think it's really close with him and Galuf. I think he does edge out a little bit there. But you know what I'm waiting on, guys? I'm waiting on my man, Alphonse Elric. That's right. If you guys are Full Metal Alchemist fans or if you're anime fans, this guy isn't as good as those other two in some ways. He only has 50% draw attack innately, but we do have that accessory that's given us 50% that makes him 100%. But look at this LB for a minute. I just want to make you guys aware we should be getting this in Global. And it might even be buffed, who knows. Increased defense and spirit 200% for 4 turns to all allies, so incredible defensive buffs. Mitigate damage taken 50% for 4 turns to all allies. HP barrier 4,000 to all allies, and it's a 22 crystal LB fill rate. Alphonse LB spamming, that's where we want him to be. But in the end, I am not going to be summoning for Awakened Warrior of Light because I have Galuf. I'm going to be looking for Alphonse Elric because I want him on my squad. He's very cool. Maybe I'll get lucky tonight with tickets on my stream, but we'll have to wait and see. But everybody out there, this guy is amazing. If you want a little upgrade to Sieghard, I think Galuf and him are kind of neck and neck. And if you don't have any of those, you better be summoning, and best of luck to you guys. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you're a Galuf fan or a Awakened Warrior of Light fan and which one you guys have on your team or you're waiting on Alphonse Elric. Subscribe for future content. Follow me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ClaicYuzolt, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.